kind of enjoyed wallowing in it. It was helpful, sort of self-inflicted pain.
Disney characters look effortlessly ethereal, but working 16-hour days in tight costumes with thick prosthetics isn't exactly a magical experience. Behind the scenes, there were fake faces, complicated contacts, and some of the most restrictive corsets in the world. You might see these live-action scenes differently once you know how these actors really felt after being poked and prodded into fairy tale perfection.
Once you put those things on, you feel like Cruella de Vil.
Emma Stone had 47 looks to wear in the upcoming Cruella movie. She even had to let makeup artists graffiti her face. But the most challenging outfits for Emma were those which had super long trains, particularly the garbage truck dress, which had a train that was 40 feet long.
It's like things you only ever imagined and think you would actually put on your body and carry behind you on a garbage truck.
She couldn't even move with it on, so the train had to be added to the dress after Emma climbed on the back of the truck. A scene we'll have to wait to see in the movie if we want to know how well she actually pulled it off. For Cruella, Emma Stone did a lot of climbing while wearing epic dresses. This look, with an incredibly long red train, had to be worn while the actress climbed on top of a car. Pulling the skirt around the car without it getting caught was the hardest part, and not letting the weight of the dress pull her to the ground. Co-star Emma Thompson gave her props for her skill in maneuvering the heavy dress, saying she had to put it around the car about 1,000,000 times because it was so hard to get right.
Every single part is so beautifully played.
To become the Beast, Dan Stevens had to walk around on stilts and wear a 40-pound prosthetic muscle suit covered with visual effects indicators that tracked his every movement. He compared the stilts to wearing 10-inch high heels.
It's an ordeal for my calf muscles alone.
Thankfully, he wore a cooling unit under his suit that could be plugged in between takes so he didn't overheat.
What a regrettably large head you have. I should very much like to have it.
It wasn't just CGI that made the Red Queen's head huge in Alice in Wonderland. Helena Bonham Carter also had a prosthetic forehead applied to make her head seem larger and push back her hairline. The 3-pound wig on top of her head didn't make things any more comfortable, and costume designer COLLEEN Atwood outfitted her with an Elizabethan dress with a high collar. The actress's head was then digitally enhanced to appear 3 times its normal size on film. But that meant Helena had to be really careful about not bringing her hands anywhere near her head while acting, so they wouldn't interfere with the special effects.
They reminded me ever so often that I was much wider than I thought.
Ever find yourself wishing you had a pair of Cinderella's glass slippers? Well, you should count yourself lucky that you don't. While the original plan was to have Lily James wear the slippers, it turns out they were much too painful and she couldn't even get them on.
It doesn't fit a foot. Because it's made of Swarovski crystal.
Real ones were designed for the film, but the slippers we see the princess actually wear are completely CGI.
They're made of glass. Yes.
Turning Angelina Jolie into Maleficent was a daunting task. Every day it took 3 hours to apply her prosthetics and later remove her prosthetics, and she had to wear them for 16 hours a day. Jolie insisted on their use herself. They included teeth, nose, ear, and cheek pieces.
Once the horns go on, you start to, mind you, the first few days you knock your head on everything.
And while wearing them wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world, having them applied and then removed was by far the most painful part of the process, as it involved a lot of poking and prodding the actress's skin. Turning Johnny Depp into the Mad Hatter involved some complicated contacts and crooked teeth. He was transformed by makeup artist VALLI O'Reilly and hairstylist Terry Belial. The orange wig and clown-like makeup was a daunting task, but what was most uncomfortable were these kooky contacts the actor wore for all his scenes. But Depp knew exactly what he was signing up for, since the Mad Hatter's look was based on watercolors by the actor and director Tim Burton.
Oh, great one who summons me, terrible one who commands me.
Creating the genie for Aladdin meant putting Will Smith in a motion capture suit. The real uncomfortable part of this costume wasn't that it was too stiff or restrictive, it was that it was thin and skin tight, not leaving much to the imagination. It was done this way so they could catch the actor's angles and movements perfectly, since the genie isn't technically wearing clothes.
that is actually me. It's a 100% CGI character.
Emma Watson loved Belle's yellow ball gown, but it was actually a deceivingly thick dress to wear. It was made from multiple layers of satin organza. To add a modern look to the gown, 2,160 Swarovski crystals were added to the top layer of the dress. Multiple copies of the dress were created for these scenes, taking over 12,000 hours to make in total.
I had the big dress on, he had the ridiculous beast thing going, you know, we were like, it was very bonding.
To accommodate Aladdin's running along rooftops, the design team traded pointy-toe slippers for sturdier, custom-designed ankle boots, but not every one of his outfits was made for comfort. Aladdin eventually has his Prince Ali makeover, and has to wear copious layers of ivory and gold, including a long cape and an oversized turban, embellished with ostrich feathers. It was sweltering in the heat, so performing in this costume was the least fun part of filming, no matter how good he looked. Did you know that acrobatic performers have to wear tight corsets despite all their flips and tricks? Actress Eva Green found that out the hard way when she performed many of her own aerial stunts in Dumbo. She had to trade her comfortable and flexible training outfit for a circus outfit that was much more restrictive and had many decorative pieces for her to be aware of, as well as a perfectly coiffed wig. Colleen Atwood designed the costumes as circus performer accurate as possible, which meant a pretty tight, stiff bodice.
And I was so scared of heights. It was a real phobia. And I really panicked at the beginning.
Any brunette who bleaches their hair will know it is not easy. But for Alice in Wonderland, actress Mia Wasikowska insisted on having her hair really bleached to the perfect blonde instead of just wearing a wig. She went through endless hair dyeing sessions and touch-ups during filming, and since her hair is pin straight, the waves had to be touched up between almost every take. The fairy godmother's dress in Cinderella was the biggest dress created for the movie, with incredible volume that actress Helena Bonham Carter was basically swimming in.
So the dress was a piece of architecture.
Sandy Powell spared no effort designing the costume.
This costume is not like the rest, actually. Underneath here is a crinoline cage, which actually gives it the silhouette.
There are LED lights and 10,000 Swarovski crystals hooked up to it with tiny, fine wires, so Helena had to be incredibly careful with it, especially while running in some of her scenes. When it came to making Maleficent fly, a pretty simple costume addition ended up being one of the most challenging things for Angelina Jolie to wear and perform in. The wings were CGI, but Jolie actually had to wear little stumps on her back so they could digitally add the wings later. This proved a challenge because she had to always be sure to move as if she had huge wings protruding from her back. The most painful part of getting these wings just right was the fork-like rig she and other flying characters had to be hooked up to when filming their flight scenes. Mulan's costume designer, Bina Degler, knew exactly how she wanted to bring one of the character's most iconic looks to life. But it wasn't an easy outfit for actress Liu Fei to perform in. There are multiple layers of robe, underdress, panels, and a sash that all add drama and flow to the outfit. It nearly took 4 weeks to embroider and 40 feet of material. It wasn't as light and easy to move in as it seems, so actress Liu Fei was tasked with making movement in the heavy costume look effortless.
That might be not every day everyone could experience.
Creature actor Ed Osmond had to wear a very strange suit to become Dumbo. While all we see on screen is the incredible CGI, behind the scenes he had to wear a green suit and crutch-like arm extensions. He was walking on all fours for about 3 hours per day, proving his role in the movie was one of the hardest to master. Becoming Elliot the Dragon for the live-action Pete's Dragon was another daunting task that required a huge green suit. Motion capture actor Eric Sindon had to wear a massive green wire mesh head so it would look like the actors were really interacting with the dragon. Sure, it was heavy and bulky, but the size also made it super easy to track, and later alter with CGI.
We were able to capture exactly what he was seeing, and we were going to be able to put that back on the screen.
Makeup artist and designer Denise Kum was responsible for Mulan's incredible matchmaking makeup, but the look was thick and made facial expressions challenging. Each stage was layered with a mix of pigments, fashion makeup, and conventional makeup, and it was all literally painted onto Mulan's face. While Mulan cuts her hair in the animated version, designing hair for the live-action version was also much different and involved applying tons of hair pieces to Liu Yifei's hair. Lily James and the live-action Cinderella were in the news a lot over reports that her waist had been digitally shrunk in her ball gown. But in reality, it was just a very tight and painful corset.
I'm in this corset, so it's really hard to breathe.
It took 20 minutes to get Lily in and then out of the dress and corset, which took 20 people to make and featured 10,000 Swarovski crystals and 3 miles of hems. Princess Jasmine has more than 10 outfit changes during the film. The most painful dress Naomi Scott had to wear was this royal pink number. The bodice was tight and restrictive, and it was embellished with heavy gold coins that the actress had to be careful not to rattle too much or catch on anything while moving around. The most challenging costume for Emily Blunt to wear as Mary Poppins was this dress. While they look like they have ruffles and fabric details, it's all painted on to blend in with the animation of the scene, which also affected the way Emily had to wear the costumes. She had to carry them as if they did have ruffles and voluminous skirts, and make sure her movements didn't make the dresses fall flat, turning 2D designs into a 3D dress. Did you know that Alice in Wonderland was the Disney live-action film with the most prosthetics? To create members of the Red Queen's and White Queen's courts, 120 actors were outfitted with unique hairstyles and fake facial features. Thanks for watching!